The hall was huge, filled with shadows and strange lights. Creatures of many shapes moved across the floor, whispering in low voices. The smell of metal and smoke hung heavy in the air. At the center, a platform rose and cages lined both sides. Inside the cages, humans sat in silence. Waiting for their turn, the girl was one of them. Her hands chained, her hair messy. Her eyes wide with fear. She had been taken from her world, sold from one alien ship to another, and now brought here. The auction hall was the last step before someone claimed her as property. She pressed her forehead against the cold bars. Whispering to herself, "Don't leave me," no one answered. Only the auctioneer's booming voice echoed in the air. The alien auctioneer stood tall, with skin like stone and eyes like glass. His voice carried across the hall, deep and sharp. "Lot number 67, he roared. A young human female, strong, untouched. Useful aliens in the crowd hissed, raised their devices, and shouted numbers. Each bid was like a knife to the girl's chest. She wanted to disappear, but she could not. Her lips moved again, soft and broken. "Don't leave me." The crowd was alive with greed. Some aliens wanted humans for work. Others for experiments. Others only for sport. To them, humans were small creatures, weak and fragile. But tonight, there was something different in the air. The girl felt it, though she did not understand it. She looked across the hall and saw him. A man, a human, standing at the far back. He wore a dark coat. His face hidden under shadows, he was silent. Watching the auction without moving, at first. She thought he was another prisoner. But he was not in chains. He was free, and he was waiting. The auctioneer slammed his hand against the stand. "Begin at 100 credits." Hands shot up. Claws clapped. Strange voices filled the chamber. 100, 150. 200, 250. The numbers rose higher. The girl closed her eyes and wished she was anywhere else. She wished she was home, under the sky of her own world. But the sound of the crowd dragged her back. 500 credits, a lizard-skinned buyer hissed. 600, another shouted. The girl shook her head. Tears falling, her lips trembling. "Don't leave me." The words were not meant for anyone. But someone heard them. The man at the back opened his eyes. His gaze sharp and clear. The auctioneer raised his hand. 600 credits, going once. Going twice, the crowd leaned forward, ready to see who would claim her. The girl gripped the bars of her cage, her heart racing like a drum. Her body shook, her voice silent now, because hope was gone. But then it happened. A single hand rose in the back of the hall. Slow, steady, calm, the finger lifted high. And the room froze. The voices stopped. The aliens turned their heads. It was the human man, silent until now. He had not spoken a word. But that one gesture cut through the noise like fire. The auctioneer blinked, his stone-like face twisting a human. He growled, "You dare to bid here?" The crowd burst into laughter, cruel and sharp. "Look. A weakling thinks he can buy one of his own." One sneered, "Foolish creature. What will you do with her?" Another spat, but the man did not answer. He only kept his finger raised, steady as steel. The girl's eyes widened. Her breath caught in her chest for the first time. She was looking at someone who did not look away. The chains on her wrists still cut into her skin. But something inside her stirred. She whispered again. But this time, the words were different. Not broken, not hopeless, but filled with wonder. "Why me?" The auctioneer's voice rose, angry now, but he had no choice. 700 credits from the human stranger, he roared. The hall shook with outrage, yet none dared to challenge him. None dared to go higher. The silence grew heavy. Until the final word fell. Sold, The auctioneer spat, his voice trembling with something close to fear. The man lowered his hand, and the deal was done. Chains rattled as guards moved to open her cage. The girl's heart beat like thunder, fear mixed with hope. The man stepped forward through the crowd, and every alien stepped back. None touched him, none spoke as he walked. The girl watched him come closer, step by step, and in that moment, she knew her life would never be the same. Asterisk, the girl's cage opened with a hiss, chains clinking as the lock came loose. 2 alien guards dragged her forward, their long arms pulling at her shoulders. Her feet stumbled against the cold floor as they pushed her toward the man. The crowd whispered and hissed, some mocking, some fearful. The man walked calmly, each step slow but steady, as if nothing in the hall could touch him. The girl dared to lift her eyes to see him closer. He was tall, with worn clothes and a dark coat that looked older than the hall itself. His face was pale but strong, his eyes deep and unreadable. There was no mark, no chain, no sign of ownership on him. He was a human, like her, but not broken like the others she had seen. The auctioneer glared down at him, voice sharp like a blade. "You have made your claim, weakling. Now take her and leave." The man said nothing. His hand reached out, steady for a moment. The girl did not move, afraid his touch would vanish like smoke. But then she placed her chained hands in his, and the hall grew silent again. He nodded to the guards, and they unlocked her shackles. The weight of iron fell away. Leaving her wrists raw and bruised, she rubbed them gently. Staring at the man in confusion, "Why me?" she whispered again, her voice cracking. The man did not answer, only turned and began walking toward the door. The girl hesitated, then followed, because for the first time she had no chains to hold her back. The crowd of aliens parted as he passed. Their laughter was gone now, replaced with unease. Whispers slithered through the air. "That is him," one voice muttered. "It cannot be." He was gone, another hissed. "Impossible." "Yet he stands." The girl caught the words, but did not understand them. She kept close behind him, her bare feet cold against the stone floor. The air outside the auction hall was sharp and bitter. Filled with smoke from neon fires, the city stretched in every direction. Towers rising high, lights burning bright. Alien signs flickered across buildings. Strange machines floated above the streets. She had never seen anything so vast, so alive, yet so dangerous. The man walked as if he belonged here, his pace confident, his eyes never wandering. The girl hurried after him, fear tugging at her chest. "Wait," she cried softly. "Tell me who you are." He slowed, turned his head slightly, and his voice came low and calm. "My name does not matter. Not here," he said. "But I will keep you safe." The words felt heavy, like iron, but also warm. For a second, she almost believed him. Almost, until she noticed shadows moving behind them. Alien guards had followed, their armor reflecting the streetlights. Weapons glowed faintly in their hands. The girl's heart raced, panic rising. "They're coming," she whispered, clutching his sleeve. "I know," he answered, calm as stone. The guards shouted in alien tongues, ordering them to stop. The man did not stop. He only turned into a narrow alley. Pulling the girl with him, his steps were sure. Like he had walked these streets 1,000 times, the girl stumbled, nearly falling. But he caught her, steadying her with one hand. "Do not fear," he said. "Fear is what they want." She wanted to believe him. But the sound of boots and claws closing in filled her ears. The alley twisted and turned. Filled with trash and flickering lights, the man moved faster now. His coat flowing behind him, the girl tried to keep up. Her breath sharp, her legs weak. Then a wall of guards blocked the end of the alley. Weapons raised, eyes glowing. She froze, trapped, hopeless once again. The man, however, did not slow. One of the guards barked. "Surrender the girl," another added, "or you will not leave this city alive." The man stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. His eyes glowed faintly, something hidden. Something not human. The girl gasped, her fear mixed with wonder. The guards laughed, thinking he was bluffing. The man's voice was calm but cold. "You will not touch her." The guards raised their weapons. Aiming, the girl grabbed his coat, whispering, "Please." "We must run," but the man's hand reached back, finding hers, holding tight, and in that moment, she felt something. Strength, steady and deep, flowing from his grip. It was not normal, not human, the guards shouted, ready to strike. The man turned his head to her, his voice low and certain. "Run," he said, and the world seemed to shatter. The guards raised their glowing weapons. The alley lit up with blue fire. The girl's heart slammed in her chest, her breath caught in her throat. She thought this was the end, another cruel trap. But the man moved before the first shot was fired. He pulled her close and leaped forward. Faster than any human should, the blast hit the wall behind them. Stones shattering, smoke filling the alley. The girl coughed, her eyes wide with shock. How did you do that?" she cried. The man did not answer, only dragged her deeper into the maze of alleys. The city screamed around them, neon lights flashing, alien voices echoing from every street above. Drones whirred through the night sky. Searching, scanning, hunting, the girl stumbled. Her bare feet torn on sharp stones, but the man held her up. He moved like he knew the city's veins, each turn chosen without doubt. Every corner led them further from the auction hall, further from the chains, but the guards were not far behind. Their steps clanged against the metal streets, their shouts bouncing off the walls. The girl looked back once and saw glowing eyes in the smoke. She cried out, "They're catching us." The man's voice came low and steady. Not tonight. They burst into a wider street, filled with strange vehicles hovering low to the ground. The smell of burning fuel stung her nose. Alien signs blinked above shops. Crowds of creatures turned their heads. Some sneering, some stepping back in fear. No one dared to stop the guards who rushed after them. Weapons raised, the girl felt every stare burn into her skin. As if the whole city was against her, the man's grip on her hand was strong. Unshaking, he pulled her through the crowd. Weaving between machines, pushing past shadows. "Where are we going?" She gasped, her lungs burning. "To freedom," he said, the words sharp and heavy. But freedom felt far away when the guards closed in on every side. At the end of the street, 2 armored vehicles slid to block the path. Doors opened and more guards poured out, weapons glowing bright. The girl froze, her body trembling, her hope breaking. "There's no way out," she whispered. The man's eyes glinted in the neon light, cold but fierce. "There's always a way," he answered. He pushed her behind him, stepping forward as the guards aimed. The air grew thick with power, a strange hum rising from the man's body. The girl felt it in her bones, in her blood, something ancient, something hidden. The guards hesitated, confusion in their glowing eyes, and then the man moved. He struck faster than her eyes could follow, his hand slamming against the first guard's chest. Metal cracked. The alien flew backward. Crashing into the wall, another swung a weapon. But the man caught it with bare hands, snapping it like glass. The girl gasped, staring in disbelief. He was human, but no human had this strength. The crowd screamed and scattered, fleeing into the shadows. The guards pressed forward, firing their weapons. Blue bolts tearing the air. The man dodged with impossible speed, pulling the girl close each time. She felt the heat of the blasts rush past her skin. But none touched them. None found their mark in one swift move. The man lifted her into a broken transport vehicle. He smashed the controls, and the machine roared to life with sparks. The girl clutched the seat, fear and wonder twisting inside her. "Hold tight," he said, his voice like iron. The vehicle shot forward, rising above the street. Crashing through neon signs, the city became a blur of lights and smoke. Drones screamed overhead, firing beams of light. The man swerved the transport through tight alleys. Scraping walls, dodging fire, the girl screamed as sparks rained down. The smell of burning wires filling the air. "Why are they after me?" She shouted. "They want what is inside you," the man answered. His eyes fixed on the sky. Her body went cold at his words. "What do you mean?" She whispered, but the man stayed silent. The engines roaring louder, behind them, more vehicles chased. Alien ships rising like shadows from the towers. The girl gripped the seat. Her eyes wide with terror. "Will we make it?" She cried. The man looked at her. His gaze steady, his voice calm. "We will," he said. "Because we must." A blast struck the side of their vehicle. Flames burst across the metal. The machine shook violently, dropping lower, spinning toward the ground. The girl screamed as the city rushed up to meet them. The man wrapped his arms around her, shielding her with his body. The transport crashed through a market stall, sparks exploding, metal screeching. They rolled onto the ground, the wreck burning behind them. The girl coughed, smoke filling her lungs. Her body ached, her mind raced, but when she looked up, she saw the man still standing. Bruised, burned, but unbroken, he reached down, pulling her to her feet. "We're not done yet," he said. And in his eyes, she saw no fear, only fire. The market was in ruins. Smoke rising from broken stalls, aliens scattered in panic. Their cries echoing through the night. The girl leaned against the wreckage. Her body trembling, the man pulled her forward. His voice sharp but calm. "Move, they will be here soon." She stumbled after him. Her legs weak, her lungs burning. The city seemed alive with danger. Every corner glowing with threats, drones circled above. Beams of light sweeping the streets. From every alley, armored guards poured out, their eyes fixed on her. The girl felt like prey, hunted and helpless. The man's steps were fast, each stride certain. He moved like someone who had run this path 100 times before. "Why are they chasing us?" She whispered. "They fear what you carry," he said, without slowing. Her heart twisted with fear, but also with confusion. "What do I carry?" She cried. The man's silence was heavier than the smoke. The guards shouted, their voices sharp and alien. Blasts of blue fire tore through the market walls, sparks flying. The man grabbed her hand and pulled her behind cover. The girl pressed against the cold stone, her chest rising fast. She could hear the boots of soldiers. Closer and closer. Suddenly, one of the drones dipped low, its light shining on their hiding place. The girl froze, her body stiff as stone. The man lifted a piece of broken metal and hurled it with perfect aim. The drone shattered in a flash of sparks. Crashing into the street, the crowd screamed louder. The city burning with chaos. They ran again, slipping through a narrow passage between buildings. The walls were tight, the air heavy with smoke. The girl's legs gave out, but the man carried her without slowing. He moved like a shadow, silent and strong. Yet the girl felt the heat of the chase right behind them. At the end of the passage, they burst into a wide plaza. The towers above glowed with neon fire. Casting long shadows on the ground, dozens of guards were waiting there. Weapons raised, the girl's breath broke. Her eyes wide with despair. "There's no escape," she whispered. The man placed her behind him, his body steady as a wall. The guards laughed, their voices cruel. "You cannot run, human," one hissed. "Give her to us, and maybe you will live," another growled. The man's eyes glowed faintly, a strange light deep within. He spoke with a voice that cut through the air. "You will not take her." Then he moved, faster than the eye could follow. The first guard fell with a single strike, armor shattered like glass. Another fired his weapon, but the man spun aside. The blast missing by inches, he slammed his fist into the ground. Cracks splitting the stone, the girl gasped. Her heart racing. He was human, but not like any human she had known. The battle filled the plaza with fire and screams. The man tore through the guards like a storm. Weapons broke, drones fell from the sky. The girl pressed against the wall, her eyes wide with terror and awe. Each strike he made was impossible, too fast, too strong. It was like watching a force of nature, not a man, but more soldiers poured in. Filling the plaza, the man fought without pause. But the numbers were endless. The girl saw his movements slow. His coat torn, his body marked with burns. Her chest tightened, fear rising if he falls. "They will take me," she thought. Her hands shook. Her breath came quick, and then something inside her stirred. She felt heat in her veins. A pulse deep in her chest, her eyes burned. Her skin tingled with strange fire. She clutched her head, whispering, "What is happening to me?" The man glanced back, his eyes fierce. "It is awakening," he said, his voice sharp. "They will never stop until they have it." The girl shook. Light flickering around her hands, she tried to hide it. But the glow spread, bright and wild. The soldiers saw it and shouted in fear. "That is the one," they roared. "Take her alive." The man struck down another guard and moved to shield her. But the girl's power burst free. A wave of force exploded from her body. The ground cracked. The air shook. Soldiers thrown back like leaves. Drones crashed from the sky. Sparks raining down, the girl screamed, clutching her chest. Her body shaking with power she could not control. The man caught her before she fell. His grip steady, her eyes met his, filled with fear. "What am I?" she whispered. He held her close, his voice low. More than they ever feared, alarms wailed across the city, towers glowing with red lights. The soldiers regrouped, fear mixing with fury. The man lifted her into his arms, his voice firm. "This is only the beginning," he said. And as they vanished into the shadows of the burning streets, the galaxy itself seemed to tremble. The city burned behind them. Red alarms flashing in the night, smoke rose into the sky. Drones swarmed above like hungry insects, but the man carried the girl through hidden streets, slipping into tunnels where no alien dared follow. His steps were heavy but steady, his grip strong. The girl clung to him, her body still trembling from the burst of strange power. They stopped in a dark chamber beneath the city, walls lined with broken pipes. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing in the silence. The man set her down gently against the wall, his eyes sharp, his breathing steady. She looked at her hands, still glowing faintly. Fear filling her chest. "What happened to me?" she whispered, her voice cracked, soft and desperate. The man knelt before her, his eyes serious. "The secret they fear is inside you," he said. The girl shook her head, confusion twisting her face. "I don't understand," she cried. "I am just a girl." "I am nothing." The man's jaw tightened. His voice deep. "No, you are not nothing. You are everything they dread." He pulled back his sleeve, showing scars burned into his skin. "Humans were not weak as they told us. Long ago, we carried fire in our blood. A fire strong enough to break empires." The girl's heart raced, her breath sharp. "You mean me? That power is mine." The man nodded slowly. "They took you because they sensed it. They sold you because they could not control it, but if it awakens fully, you could destroy them all. Her hands shook, the faint glow rising again. She pressed them to her chest, tears burning her eyes. I don't want to destroy anything. I only want to be free. The man's eyes softened. Though his voice stayed strong, freedom is not given, it is taken. And your gift may be the only way. Above them, the sound of ships rumbled. Heavy and loud, the girl flinched, fear rushing back. They will never stop, she whispered. They will keep coming for me. The man's gaze was steady. Unbroken, yes, he said, and that is why I searched for you. Her eyes widened. Surprise cutting through her fear. You? You searched for me? The man nodded once, for years. I followed the auctions, the cages, the lists of the stolen. I waited for the one they feared most. His hand touched her shoulder. Firm and certain, you are that one. Her body shook, her mind spinning, but why me? What makes me different from the others? The man's eyes darkened. In your blood lies the oldest code of humanity. A spark hidden since before the stars were divided. They tried to erase it, but it survived. In you, the girl closed her eyes. Fighting tears, she wanted to reject his words, to throw them away, but deep inside, the fire she felt. The power that burst from her chest, it was real. Her fear turned to silence. Heavy and sharp, the man stood, his coat torn. His face marked with ash. They will surround this city soon, he said. Their armies will rise. Their ships will block the skies. All for you. The girl's voice broke. Then I am a curse, but the man's answer was quick. Fierce, no, you are hope. The sound of engines roared above, shaking the chamber walls. Through the cracks of stone, red light poured in. A voice echoed across the city. Loud and cruel. Human girl, surrender yourself. Or the city burns. The girl's breath caught. Her body stiff with fear. The man pulled her close. His whisper firm. They want you alive, not dead. Remember that? It is their weakness. She looked into his eyes, searching. Why do you protect me? You could leave, you could hide, but you stay. The man's stare was steady, his voice heavy with truth. Because if they take you, the galaxy will fall, and if you rise, the galaxy may finally be free. The girl's chest tightened, the glow in her hands spreading again. She clenched her fists, shaking. I don't know how to control it, she said. You will, he answered. And when you do, no one will chain us again above. The city shook as alien ships descended, their engines like thunder. The streets glowed red with marching soldiers. Weapons ready, the girl pressed close to the man. Her heart racing. They are already here, she whispered. The man's voice cut through the fear, sharp and steady. Then tonight, we make our stand. The chamber doors shook under the force of alien blasts. The girl's power flickered across the room, her eyes glowing bright. The man stepped forward, his body a shield, his hand reaching for hers. For years I carried this fight alone, he said. Now I fight with you. And as the door cracked, and the red light poured in, the girl rose to her feet, her power burning brighter than fear. The city above waited for its judgment. The galaxy listened, silent and trembling. The chamber door shuddered under the force of alien blasts. Dust fell from the ceiling, cracks split across the stone. The girl pressed her back against the wall, her heart beating like a drum. The man stood in front of her, tall and unmoving. His shadow stretched long in the red light. Outside, the sound of marching feet grew louder. Endless, the army was here. The man's hand reached for hers. Steady and warm, stay close, he said. His voice firm, the girl's hands glowed faintly. The strange fire flickering. She whispered, her voice breaking, I can't control it. "What if I hurt you?" The man shook his head. His eyes sharp as steel. "Do not fear your strength. Fear is the chain they want you to wear." The doors burst open, metal and stone flying across the chamber. Dozens of soldiers stormed inside, weapons glowing, eyes bright. The girl gasped, shrinking back. But the man stepped forward. His coat swirled as he moved, his body a shield. The first soldier raised his gun. But the man struck first. His fist cracked armor, sending the alien flying into the wall. The fight filled the chamber with fire and screams. The man moved like lightning, his strikes too fast to follow. But for every guard that fell, more poured in, their voices harsh, their weapons flashing. The girl clutched her chest, the fire inside her growing stronger, her fear mixed with anger. Anger at the chains, the cages, the endless running. Her body shook as the power demanded release. The soldiers pushed forward, surrounding them. One shouted, "Take the girl alive," another growled, "Kill the man." Blasts of blue energy filled the air. The man shielded her with his body, the beams cutting into his coat, scorching his skin. He did not fall, but she saw the pain in his eyes. "No!" she cried, her voice raw. Her hands burst with light, brighter than fire, hotter than stars. The soldiers staggered back, shielding their eyes. The girl screamed as the power ripped through her, shaking the walls. A wave of force hurled the front line of guards into the air. Smashing them against stone, the chamber itself trembled. Dust and stone raining down, the man caught her before she collapsed. Steadying her, "You see," he whispered. "The fire is yours." Her chest heaved, her body weak, but the glow did not fade. It pulsed with her heartbeat, wild and alive. The soldiers hesitated now, fear in their voices. "She is awake," one hissed. "She will destroy us all," another cried. The man stepped forward, his eyes blazing. "Leave now, or you will face more than me." But the army pressed on, their commander shouting, "Surround them. Bring her down." The girl shook her head, tears running down her face. "There are too many. We can't win." The man's grip on her hand tightened. "One human can change everything," he said, his voice steady. "Together, two can change the galaxy." The fight roared again. Weapons firing, blades clashing. The man struck with impossible speed, his body a storm of strength. The girl raised her hands, her fire answering his fight. Blasts of light burst from her palms, tearing through alien weapons. Melting metal, she screamed with every strike. Fear turning to fury, weakness turning to strength. The chamber filled with smoke and flames. The army staggered, their numbers breaking, yet above. The ceiling split with thunder. Through the cracks, a massive ship descended, engines roaring like a storm. Its shadow covered the city, its lights burning down on them. A voice boomed from the sky, sharp and cruel. "Enough. Surrender the girl, or the city dies." The girl froze, her power flickering. Her chest heaved, her body trembling. The man looked up at the ship, his eyes narrow, his jaw tight. He turned to her, his voice low but fierce. "They will burn worlds to break you, but only you can stop them." Her lips trembled. "I don't know how." He leaned closer, his words cutting like iron. "Then learn." Now the ship's weapons charged, light gathering in its cannons. The soldiers on the ground cheered, certain of victory, but the girl stepped forward, her fear falling away. The glow in her hands grew brighter, rising like a sun. The man placed his hand on her shoulder, steadying her, grounding her. She closed her eyes, feeling the fire in her blood. It spread through her body, through her breath, through her very soul. When she opened her eyes, they burned with light. The soldiers staggered back in terror, their weapons shaking. The ship above fired. A beam of destruction rushing down. The girl lifted her hands. The fire bursting free. The beam met her light. Clashing in the sky with thunder, the city shook, towers crumbling. Streets breaking, but the beam did not crush her. Her power held it back, brighter and brighter, until it split apart in the air. The soldiers screamed, some fleeing, others falling to their knees. The girl stood in the center of the chamber, her glow filling every corner. The man at her side, steady as stone, whispered one word: hope. The sky was torn with fire. The alien ship's cannon broke apart in the air. Sparks raining like falling stars. The city shook with the force of the clash. Towers leaning, streets cracking, lights burning out. But in the center of the chaos stood the girl, glowing like a sun, her power alive and untamed. The soldiers who had sworn to capture her now crawled back, their voices filled with fear. She is not human, one whispered. She is the end, another cried. The man stood beside her, steady as stone. His eyes locked on the army that still surrounded them. His coat was torn, his skin burned. But he stood tall, unbroken. He placed his hand on her shoulder, and she felt his strength steady her. You are not their end, he said, his voice firm. You are their beginning. The girl's chest rose with heavy breaths, her eyes burning with light. She looked at the soldiers, at the broken city, at the ship hovering above for so long. She had been weak, chained, treated like nothing. But now, all eyes were on her, and she realized she had become something greater than herself. Her hands trembled as the fire swirled around her fingers. What do I do? She whispered. The man's voice was calm, certain. You choose, the army roared again, their commander shouting, take her. Take the weapon alive. The soldiers rushed forward, their weapons raised, their steps like thunder. The girl raised her hands, her glow brighter than their fire. But she hesitated, her heart heavy. If she unleashed everything, the city might fall, innocence might die. She shook her head, tears burning her eyes. I don't want to kill. The man stepped in front of her, his body a shield. You do not have to, he said. Power does not mean death, it means choice. The words cut through her fear. Sharp and clear, she lifted her hands again. But this time, she did not release destruction. She focused, her breath deep, her fire bending under her will. The light spread, not as a blast, but as a wave. It pushed through the chamber, knocking the weapons from the soldiers' hands. The ground shook. The army staggered. But none were killed. The soldiers stared in shock. Their weapons broken, their strength shattered. The commanders shouted in rage, but fear spread through the ranks. They had never seen power like this. Not used with mercy, not held with such control. The girl stood taller now, her glow steady, her voice firm. Leave, she commanded. Leave this world. And never return. The silence that followed was heavy. One by one, the soldiers lowered their heads. Stepping back, the massive ship above rumbled, its engines shaking the sky. For a moment, it seemed it would fire again. But the glow in the girl's eyes made even the great warship hesitate. And then, with a roar of vengeance, it turned, rising into the stars. The army followed, retreating into the shadows. The city was left broken, but free. The girl fell to her knees, her body weak, the glow fading from her skin. The man caught her, steadying her, holding her close. Her voice cracked, soft as a whisper. Why did you save me? Why me, when there are so many? The man's eyes softened, his words low and certain. Because one human is enough to change everything. She looked at him, her tears mixing with the ash on her face. But I don't know who I am now, she whispered. You will, he said. Your story has only begun. His hand lifted her chin. His gaze strong. Today you chose not to destroy, but to protect. That is who you are. The city around them was broken. Towers burned, streets cracked, but the people who had hidden in the shadows began to emerge. Humans in chains, aliens who had suffered, all staring at the girl with wide eyes. They had seen her power. They had seen her mercy, and in their eyes, she was no longer just a girl, she was a symbol. The man helped her to her feet, his voice quiet but heavy. The galaxy will not forget what happened tonight. They will fear you, he said. But they will also hope. The girl's chest rose, her strength returning slowly. She looked at the crowd, at the broken city, at the endless sky above. I am afraid, she whispered. The man nodded. Good. Only the foolish are never afraid. The crowd bowed their heads. Whispers spreading. Human, they said. The fire of humanity lives again. The girl held the man's hand, her voice trembling but firm. Then let it live, she said. Her words echoed in the night, stronger than fire, sharper than fear. The stars above seemed brighter. The galaxy itself holding its breath for the first time in ages. Humans were not seen as weak, not as slaves, but as something greater, something dangerous, something free. And as the man and the girl walked into the dawn of a broken city, the universe whispered with awe and fear. This was not the end. This was only the beginning.